Bam, 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 we're live. Are we live? Did Justin just run across the screen?
Yes.
Are we live? Let me wait to see if it pulls up. We're here in Manhattan at the John Boy Media office. My first time in the office talking New York Giants football. It hasn't hit me yet that the draft is here, essentially. It really hasn't. We've been so busy, and then me coming to New York, I had to get a bunch of stuff ready for that. Yeah, so I wanted to get a haircut, and I totally forgot to get a haircut. So maybe tomorrow, someone can give me a spot near 37th Street to get a haircut.
Oh, just stocks the office.
The 37th Street is pretty big.
Stocks the office.
It's still not showing up on YouTube. How much of a delay is there?
I don't know. It's a good question. It's a great question.
I don't know if we're live.
Oh, it says bad echo. Oh, so I guess we are live.
It's not showing up here. This isn't good. What's going on, people? Let's see. Sorry, if you're watching this in the post, sorry about that. Or you're watching it live, sorry about that. But we're here to talk Giants football, answer Giants draft questions, and then tomorrow we'll be live for our draft day and mock draft episode. It's showing up on here.
Yeah, it's the sound.
Should we? All right, we're gonna fix the echo because this is bad.
All right, how about now? Let's see.
Hello. Hello. It's a really bad echo. Is there an open microphone or something? Talking. Giants, New York Giants football. Hold on with us. We're going to get this figured out. Still an echo. This is horrible. Well, at least we're getting this shit figured out now, because would be pissed off if we tried to get this figured out and not now. Come on. It's not showing up on the browser either. So maybe only people can watch on their phone. See what I'm getting on the browser?
Yeah, same here.
Come on. This is so fucking frustrating. Hold on. Live now. Okay, so now I refreshed it. So maybe you have to refresh it. They said it's good. It's good. We're good. We're live. We're freaking good, baby. Good job. Whatever you did, it's good. So if there's people that are going to click on this after we already are live, and they're going to not watch, but it's all right. We're here for the people that are live. So we're here. We got James, who said it's fixed. Andre, Eli, Ryan, Joe. What's going on? All right, we're here to talk Giants football. I am in Manhattan. I'm this first time in the new John Boy Media office. It's pretty nice. Met like 20 new people. Don't remember a single one of their names except for the tech guy. His name is Dan.
Yes.
We had a good conversation.
Dan is our best friend right now.
What's going on?
Hey, Bobby Skinner. Nice to see you. Nice to hear from you. I'm waiting to see myself on the screen. I can wear my glasses. That's great. And there's no glare because I can't see if I take off my glasses. How was your plane ride here? How was your trip up?
One of the worst flights I've had in a long time. I usually upgrade, but the prices have went up so much that the upgrade was $70 for the emergency exit. So I was like, oh, I'm not doing that. And then I realized, like, nope, it's worth the $70. I'll be paying the $70 on the way back. Because, it was brutal. The people next to me sucked. There was kids crying. I mean, it was just like the most rambunctious flight I had been on in a long time. Most of them are pretty pretty calm, cool, and collected. But the flight sucked. That being said, we're here. And man, I have to say this. I like my Bronx people in the Bronx better than Manhattan.
Yeah, I can see that. So are you now glad that I actually left you in the middle of the Bronx this past summer to fend for yourself?
The Bronx they've always been my people. But when you're in Manhattan, I realize like I just enjoy the vibe from the Bronx. I enjoy it's a little less like busy. Mm-hmm. I can go to a dollar store there. There's some regular stores there. So I like the Bronx more.
Yeah, you asked me, is there a dollar store? And we're in the middle of Manhattan. I'm like, no.
Well, I figured there would. It's a pretty big city. Like a dollar store would be useful because I don't travel with toiletries. I buy them when I get there. Sure. So I found them at a CVS, free ad for CVS. But
I spelled I put an accidental colon in the title of this stream.
That's fine. We don't care at this point.
If anything, we're using today as a test because tomorrow, Wednesday, 6 p.m., we're going to be doing this live, and we are going to be having our first ever live podcast episode. Wednesday, 6 p.m., we'll be doing our annual mock draft episode.
Yeah, our draft day and mock draft. I usually prepare some type of speech or some type of, topic, subject, talking about the draft, and then we'll get into our mock drafts. And it's just a draft. The draft day vibes are the best. I brought my coconut has left Florida for the first time.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What an honor!
It's the draft coconut. It has to be here. So
what an honor! I've never seen this coconut.
Got my draft hoodie, which it's traditions, and then my draft hat. So those are tomorrow. It'll be my draft day ready.
What? This is great. You're wearing this year's draft hoodie. I'm wearing last year's draft hoodie.
Yeah. So, all right. Let's get into answering some questions about the New York Giants. It's starting. We have been linked to every single player. I've seen a beat reporter or a national guy link us to every single player. Gardner, Stingley. In fact, I'm going to watch 2019 Stingley because I only watched 2021 Stingley, and everyone's like, oh, he's actually cornerback one. So I'm going to go rewatch him. I don't think I'll move him ahead of Sauce. But I'm going to go rewatch him because you know what? Maybe that could be an option. We almost got an interview with Sauce or Derek Stingley.
Yeah.
And then they asked for our channel analytics. I was like, okay, well you came. I was just like, we're not going to. It was with a sponsorship for like tattoo cream, and I was thinking it'd be funny for me and Danny King to do it. But
I was actually really hoping that would happen. I'm discouraged it's not happening.
Yeah, they were asking for to see our YouTube analytics and stuff. Like, okay, this is.
For a 10 to 15 minute interview that. I guarantee you not a lot of people are going to care about.
Yeah, we don't even really want to do it.
No.
If he gets drafted by the Giants, we'll reach out and maybe do it after the draft. But I was going to ask him only about the skin cream.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just keep on asking him,
Has it always been your dream to...
Yeah, I was going to ask, when you were a kid, did you ever think you'd grow up and, and be a sponsor for Mad Max tattoo cream or whatever the name of it was? So
yeah.
But I hate player interviews, and especially college player won't say a single thing wrong.
I hate
going into the NFL interview.
Forced player interviews I hate. Like Antonio Williams, kind of that being an amicable, hey, this is cool. You're a cool guy. You're new to the Giants. Nick Gates you're friendly with. I don't like forced player interviews where it's you have to do this.
Right. But anyways, we've been linked to every single player so far. Stingley and Sauce, Neal. Yep. The only one hasn't been Ekwonu. I guess Ekwonu is just assumed to go in the top 4 at this point, which I don't.
Is he?
I don't know. Everyone has been they say they've been talking about Neal and Cross, and they've just been assuming Ekwonu. I don't know that Ekwonu's gonna not be there at 5. The Jaguars franchise tag Charles Robinson. They might like to go give Walker Little a shot, who they drafted early last year. The Lions have 2 good tackles in Penei Sewell and Decker. The Texans have Laramie Tunsil. They could go tackle. And then the Jets have Fant. And then unless they're giving up on Becton or they don't care about Fant, I think there's a real possibility that both those guys are there. But for some reason, it's just been assumed that they won't.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it a little too much. I'm going to be honest. I've been thinking about it a little too much. And what's the wild thing, and sometimes I don't want to say it's a pointless conversation, but because there's no top consensus quarterbacks, last year picks 1 through 3 were quarterbacks. That's going to be the furthest thing from what happens this year. If anything, Malik is going to go top 3, and then that's it for quarterbacks, right?
Yeah, I just don't see it happening.
But because of that, because there's no top quarterbacks, and because there's no really top dog in this draft class, I mean, how these boards are constructed by these NFL teams, it could really, really differ. Really, really differ team to team. I mean, I'm sure there's probably guys that have a mid-first round, late first-round grade on, let's just say, a Jermaine Johnson, and, hey, he could go top 10. So, who knows? Who knows? But I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see how these teams evaluate and how they think about it.
Yeah, it's a weak top 10 overall. Someone mentioned that Stingley went up against better players, which is true. But also watch Sauce Gardner when he plays against Jameson Williams. Yep. Watch him press his ass up all game. Watch him go against Notre Dame. I forget their wide receivers in the draft this year, number 4. Watch, I think it's something Austin. Watch him go up against him and dominate him. So, you know, it's Sauce Gardner is not a production and he's not just like, oh, he went up against bad players and did well against them. Calvin Austin from Memphis locked him down when they played. So Sauce Gardner's went up against good competition, and he's dominated when he's done it. He didn't have the every week in and out SEC schedule that Derek Stingley has, but Stingley hasn't either in the last 2 years either. So
you got to play.
Yeah, so
that's the main difference.
Stingley would be the one guy that like hasn't been on our radar. Where again, I got to go watch some of his 2019 stuff, where it's like, oh, okay, you know, that's interesting. There's some red flags there, but it's like you get it. But he's been like rising up like the talk of draft. No, I don't say rising up boards, but like the talk about him. People are like, oh, he's actually cornerback 1, and he might be a top 5 pick, which I can very well see. He has that ability to be that.
Oh, you know what's funny? We actually have a second stream that's scheduled for 6 p.m. The monetization for this stream is off. And all that work that I did to set up the stream beforehand is now basically irrelevant. So I'm going to I'm going to go into the stream that is set up for 6 p.m. and I'm going to tell people that there's another stream.
That's
annoying. I'm learning how to use Streamlabs, and here, I'll say it.
So the link I put out is not good.
No, the link that you put out is not good.
I'll delete it.
Yeah, and I will say learning how to use Streamlabs. There is another stream. And this is why sometimes that we need a producer. I will say that, John Boy Media.
No one could hang out today with us or anything?
No, well, that's because we have to beg, and I'm going to be bringing that up to them.
Okay. All right, let's hit some other questions that we have. Is Evan Neal not passing a physical true, and is it a big deal? 1, he hasn't missed like a practice at Alabama. 2, that came from like a very smaller account that I've never seen before. And I was listening to Mike Garafolo earlier and saying like that's not confirmed, and that doesn't have him off boards. Like he was speaking specifically to the Giants. So
what was wrong with him? I mean, if you failed the physical, then what's the issue?
The one that I have seen is Kenyon Green. That Kenyon Green may have a knee thing, and that may may cause him to fall out of the first, which. Again, we don't know the medicals, and that is the most frustrating thing about the draft process. And I think it's always something as a fan you should like. We dedicate to this like literally our full-time job dedicating to the draft.
Yeah.
You know, at least for a few months a year. But there's so much that from the outside in you just don't know because you can't know unless you're sourced up and talking to coaches and stuff. You know, if you're those top guys like Jeremiah or Mel Kiper. Like, we have no idea about these guys' medicals. You know, we don't know about their personalities unless they're just like a huge red flag. Like, unless they're George Pickens, where they literally, you know, slammed a guy's head into the wall versus Georgia Tech, which I love the edge. We don't know the red flags on a lot of these guys. Like, I remember that with DeAndre Baker.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, red flags. And it's like, everyone keeps saying red flags. No one can tell me what the red flags. Now,
I'm fairly confident that the Giants have a very, very – I think the Giants have Evan Neal's tackle 1, and I'm fairly, very positive on that.
I think they would too. And that's, you know, that's sourced up on people talking about it, and Justin may have a hint.
Yeah, I may have maybe heard maybe.
Someone mentioned Mike Glennon, who we actually just had a conversation with a couple of the employees of the company.
Good guy.
Let's see.
Like him.
Oh, the Tony stuff. We haven't had a podcast since Tony reported to camp on or these off-season workouts.
Yeah,
on
if
Monday.
we didn't have technical issues to start, then that would have been the first thing that I would have turned to you about, is that you GT beat reporter Bobby Skinner.
Yeah, well, and here I want to take a shot at some of the Giants beat reporters on this too.
Sure.
I had the news Sunday, but I don't like to break news. The only time we've broken news is when it comes to us, and we go by the old school journalism rules. You got to have 2 confirmations of it,
Which you did. You had 2.
but I had the one confirmation of it Sunday, and it was like pretty clear cut. But I was like, you know what? I sent it. I told the beat reporters, like, Tony's in New York.
Yeah.
Nobody did anything with it, and then we got that second confirmation on Monday. I was like, all right, I'm just gonna tweet this out, and I didn't think it would go big. Oh, we got John Boy Media in the chat. What's going on, Jim?
Probably heard me slander.
Yeah. Oh, I wonder who that is. Is that Kyle? Is that BBD? I don't know. So there is some super chats. We can't highlight them the way we do with our regular stream, but we'll try and get to them.
And that's also just like a Giants thing. It's like a YouTuber thing where people like to highlight chats. That's usually not a thing that people do. Like big time.
Well, let's try and do it. Darian P says, if Thibodeau falls to 5 and we go tackle, could you see someone jumping us and taking him at 6? Philly is rumored to love him. I don't think so. I did see a rumor that Philly might move up to 6, like with Carolina.
But who are they? Like, what's the target?
Yeah, I don't think it would be for. I don't know what the target would be, honestly.
I mean, because what
do the Eagles need that they would need to jump up and target that?
Linebacker.
And
do they need O-line? Or what are they going to? I mean, they could jump up and they could take Thibodeau. They could take an edge rusher.
Yeah, that's what he was asking. So I don't know. I just don't see it.
Yeah,
Max Webster, our guy, haven't heard from you in a while. At this point, are you buying into Walker 1 or 2? I think that's happening. I don't. There's so much smoke that there has to be fire that he's there, that he's going to be going before the New York Giants pick.
Yeah, which that's great. That's great news.
Yeah, which again, Walker is an exciting talent. He hasn't put it. It's a frustrating evaluation, and I think we're having this evaluation because maybe the top of this class is not as strong as years past. Mm-hmm. And if this was last year's draft, there would be no Trayvon Walker top 10 talk. But because it's not as strong as years past, there is. Like, Aiden Hutchinson has flaws to his game. Kayvon, there's some worries about him. Jermaine Johnson's a little older. Maybe doesn't have the great burst off the line of scrimmage, even though it actually is a better edge class than last year. I think it's just like, all right, we're going to take a swing at the guy with the traits and hope he can develop some stuff. And there is the Georgia scheme holding him back talking point has went overboard, but there is something to that as that, like, hey, they're not giving him the opportunities that David Ajabo had at Michigan to rush the passer.
I want to talk about Tony, though, because you started to talk about it, about the whole two-source thing, and then I feel like you went to Super Chats.
Oh, yeah. So our Super Chats, we'll try to get to you.
Well, no, 2. So you got him.
So I'm glad he showed up. The Giants, Dan Duggan confirmed this, and this is something we've known since last September. The Giants have been frustrated with Kadarius Toney.
Yeah.
And not shopping him, but they've been frustrated with him, and him not showing up to these things really did bother them. It really did bother them, and I do think there's merit to the whole trade. They weren't shopping him the way Pat Leonard said. They were listening.
There's a difference between shopping and taking calls, and that's something that has been very much lost throughout this entire thing.
It was a well-known, it was a badly kept secret that they were frustrated with him, and then when he didn't show up to OTAs in a time where that stuff's going to get more highlighted because there's not much news going on right now, teams called and like, what's the deal? And that's where Pat Leonard heard it from. Is another team's GM or player, pro player personnel or whatever ask, like, hey, the Giants, were talking to us about this. What do you think of him? Because that's something that other GMs do. They talk to the other reporters to get, like, who is he, Tony, as a player or as a person? Like, is he a bad person? Does he not buy? Like, what's the deal with him? And that's where that stemmed from. So they were frustrated with him. So I hope that this was a wake-up call for Tony. And not just to get him to simply show up this week, which he did and got his playbook, but to really buy in for the whole offseason. And I hope so, and this is my biggest worry, I think he gets bad advice. I really think Tony gets bad advice by people who work in their own selfish interests for their own good. Okay? And no one has thought that Kadarius Toney wasn't or some do, that we never thought Kadarius Toney wasn't working out. this offseason. He wasn't just, like the whole Wes Steinberg partying thing. Like, that's fake, and he's not like a partier like that. That's something we've known too. Like, he's actually a pretty, like, homebody. He has a very tight circle. But, like, he hadn't bought in. He hadn't bought into the New York Giants, and the Giants have and probably still are frustrated with him. But I'm glad that he was there. I'm glad that he's shown up. Take it more serious. Take it more serious.
Do you think it's more of a – because you just talked about how Pat Leonard – another team may have contacted him, whatever, and then he leaked it. But do you – there's part of me that thinks it was an internal job to get that's the way that they got him here.
I feel like we kind of get these fan fiction theories.
It got him here. That was the thing that got him here.
It did. It definitely did. But that wasn't, to me, maybe it was, but there's no thing that we've heard. There's no evidence of that. That's, like some, like that. I feel like
it makes sense though.
You know how we overthink things in the off season and every little thing.
I think overthinking it is another GM is contacting Pat Leonard and then Pat.
No,
Leonard
that happens. I mean,
but I know that happens. But I think it makes more sense that Pat Leonard, who's willing to, kind of go out with a lot of things. Now he for what people think about him, he's right. Like Pat Leonard breaks news, and we're talking about how Pat
Leonard,
also
wrong on speculation stuff a lot.
But he does break news, and he
Brian
is right.
Flores.
Where that was another thing where maybe another organization or maybe somebody with other interests is contacting him, and he's willing to do it. But in a way, you're almost saying, is Pat Leonard a necessary evil? We've had that conversation too. So if it makes sense in my brain that the Giants are frustrated with Kadarius Toney, the Giants want Kadarius Toney in the building. The Giants know that he's getting bad advice elsewhere. They want him to get here. They want to talk to him. They want to, as Dave Gettleman says, get their hands on him. And the way that they can do that is via Pat Leonard.
Yeah, possibly.
I don't think that's thinking too much into it. I don't. I'm not saying that's true, not saying it's right, but it's a thing that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't. It's just, I don't know if they have that great a relationship with Pat. But something that's been buried in the Toney news, Darius Slayton's being shopped. Dan Duggan reported that.
How do we define shopped? Because
we trust Dan Duggan with everything.
But was Dan Duggan's words? I didn't catch his article.
Being shopped, yes.
But he did say being shopped.
Yes.
Okay.
What do you think about that? Because I think it makes sense when you think about it. Like, oh yeah, he's on the last year of his deal. He's underperformed. From a standard that he set that was above the standard of a 5th round pick. But I also don't want to trade Darius Slayton for a 5th round pick because he does add value to the team. We all think that he would perform much better in it. The Jason Garrett effect was, hurt every single wide receiver. Okay, and if you don't like Daniel Jones, that hurts him too. So I get it if they want to just move on last year deal, get something for him while you can.
Yeah.
But part of me is like, well, I kind of wouldn't mind keeping Darius Slayton around. Because even if he has a decent year, he's not going to have a great year because he's going to be down on the depth chart behind Galladay, Toney, and Shepard. So those guys might get hurt, so he'll have a big game here. But he's not going to put up some big numbers and put up production to go get a big contract. So even if he does have a good year, I feel like you can bring him back on a somewhat cheaper deal.
Yeah, I feel more strongly attached. Not attached, maybe is the wrong word. I feel more strongly about the Giants cutting Logan Ryan than I do trading Darius Slayton. I feel like if they want to trade Darius Slayton,
I agree.
And then I honestly feel like at this point you can kind of replace Darius Slayton with that 4th, 5th round draft pick who's a wide receiver. Darius Slayton was a 5th round draft pick. You can go from. You can go in the UDFA pool and see if you can get somebody there. And being 4th on the depth chart, understandable that these top 3 wide receivers the Giants have, they're very injury prone. But I don't have a very strong attachment at all to Darius Slayton. Like I would have rather them keep Logan Ryan than talking about are we debating a Darius Slayton trade.
Yeah, I mean I don't have a strong attachment either. And again, if he's on the last year of his deal, he's not slated to be a starter right now. So if you could get a draft pick for him, I understand it. But I also I love getting draft picks. Like, it's fun. I love talking about
Yeah.
6th round picks, 7th round picks. But I think at the end of the day, let's remember. Let's look at if he gets traded for a 6th round pick, which may even be too high for what Darius Slayton's market holds. Let's think about our last 6th round picks: Gary Brightwell, Rodarius Williams, Cam Brown.
Two out of the last 3 players are good.
2019. What was it? Big George was a 7th round pick.
Sure.
I don't think we had a 6th round pick. We haven't got any good players from the 6th round the last 4
But
years.
it's also in your mindset too, and that's going to be something that's interesting to see how Joe Schoen operates this draft season and this draft as a whole. The Giants, with at least Joe Judge and Dave Gettleman, had the mindset that day 3 picks are basically, here are guys that we just going to get that are special teamers. Hey, are we going to have a GM? And I think you actually saw this in Buffalo, at least with Brandon Beane and Joe Schoen. They got pretty solid players on day 3. Like, they didn't draft for special teams. They didn't draft to just fill out the roster. They drafted players that they think that they can, maybe do something. That doesn't mean that they will, but you're drafting players that are actually good instead of, we're just going to draft this guy for special teams.
Yeah, but if you weren't a Giants fan and didn't have the up and down roller coaster of the Darius Slayton experience, where the first year was great, the second year was mediocre, and then the third year really bad, you would, from the outside in, you'd look in like, oh, that's a good pick. Like, he's the best day 3 pick in the Dave Gettleman era.
No, he is. He is. But also, you look at what does Darius Slayton do well besides run in a straight line, get open deep, and catch the ball? I mean, he is one of the last players in the National Football League in yards after the catch per reception. He has always been, since his rookie year, one of the last players in the National Football League in wide receiver separation. So he doesn't separate. He doesn't run with the ball after the catch. So he has a high yards per reception. So he gets open deep and he catches the ball. It's solely scheme based. You can get somebody else to do that.
No, it's not so. I mean, he put up 850 yards his rookie season.
Okay, it's solely scheme based, and then without that good scheme, I mean, everybody did bad.
Yeah,
but Darius Slayton was the one who suffered the most.
Galladay, but he was buried on the depth chart behind guys like Galladay, Shepard. Like, Shepard was the one that really overcame the scheme. Look at Gall. I mean, Darius Slayton put up better numbers than Kenny Galladay in the Jason Garrett scheme in 2020.
My point is that you can kind of find a lot of wide receivers that can do what Darius Slayton does and be okay.
Okay, but we have him, and I don't want to trade him for Cam Brown.
Cam Brown's solid. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, you were just complaining about drafting special teams guys. That's exactly what Cam Brown is.
Cam Brown was solid his rookie year when he had to play football. Solid enough.
For what?
Win against Seattle, baby. He helped. He got a QB hit against Russell Wilson.
I'm going to figure out Cam Brown's stats in that game. Let's take some more questions, though. What do we got? Go through the chat and give us a question.
Yeah, do a barrel roll. Wide receiver separation numbers are super scheme based, but also it's not, because Darius Slayton was bad with Pat Shurmur. Darius Slayton was also bad with Jason Garrett. Kenny Galladay was bad in Detroit, and Kenny Galladay is also bad in New York. So it is scheme based, but it's also not. I think yards after the catch numbers are kind of mostly scheme based too, unless you have a guy that's like AJ Brown that could just break all those tackles. Let's see.
Cam Brown played 10 snaps, 0 QB hits.
Hey, don't like you.
Oh. All right, what do we got?
Give me George Pickens, Big Pork Nation.
I love it, but he's a pain in the ass if you're a coach.
Yeah.
I love it. I love the fire.
He spit in somebody's face.
Yeah, like he's a lunatic, and I love
during COVID or after or before COVID?
I don't know.
I think it's before. No, it was before, because we talked about him on last season. So it was before.
He's
COVID.
nuts. And I love that energy, but I don't know if you how much confidence that you have are you going to wearing that in? Georgia was never able to rein it in. He had issues there, and the injury. So I like George Lopez. Love that show. George Pickens.
I actually just binged that show a couple weeks ago.
That makes sense. George Pickens. I like George Pickens, but I just don't know.
What's that supposed to mean?
It's just like an old man, like who watches George Lopez anymore?
It's on Peacock. It's great.
See, I watched George Lopez when it was on Nick at Night when there's nothing else to watch.
I binged it.
You went out of your way to watch the George Lopez.
I would do draft prep.
Which is not even like a bit, there's no storyline. It's a different episode every.
They're false. There are storylines. He punches his father in the face. His father wants a kidney.
But I'm saying they don't like talk about what happened in the last episode in the New York. I've actually been watching Designated Survivor. That show's insane.
I have also watched that show, but I did not finish it. It kind of fizzles off a little bit, but it's a good show very much in the beginning.
Yeah, it's nonstop. Because I couldn't find anything on Netflix. I watch all the space stuff. But Ozark is I'm a space nerd, and then Ozark's coming back Friday, so I'll watch that sometime.
What do you
after
do
the draft.
if Tibbs and Sauce aren't there at 7?
Jermaine Johnson probably, or maybe Derek Stingley if you like him. The more I've thought about it, I'm not in the Devin Lloyd train there if that's the situation. I think I'd probably end up with Jermaine. Jermaine Johnson would be my pick for that.
I do think Devin Lloyd's going to be a better football player than Jermaine Johnson. And if you look at the draft simply as you want to get good players on your football team, then that's an approach. I do think Jermaine Johnson is being overhyped. Jermaine Johnson was the first player that this draft season that I started, and I was like, this is a gotta have a player. But this is before the Senior Bowl. He's late first round, early second round. And now he hasn't played a football game, and he's worked his way up into the top 10.
Yeah. I think a lot of it is people don't actually do draft work until the season's over, so it's kind of catching up.
No, things do change. And Tyler Linderbaum was also a top 10 pick unjustifiably before the Senior Bowl, before the Combine and everything like that, and now he's being considered a late first, mid first, early second. So that's correct. So, hey, things have a way of correcting themselves, but hey, if you just want to talk Devin Lloyd versus Jermaine Johnson, which I really do love Jermaine Johnson, I'd be pumped if he is a Giant. I think he kind of does compare athletically, body-wise to Matt Judon, and he did quite well in Baltimore.
Yeah, I think he'd be a great fit for Wink, where you can line up him in the 3 technique. You can put him at the edge. He's got those powerful. I think he would be a great fit for Wink Martindale.
Or how about this, too? This is also a very good question, because I still haven't finished my mock draft yet that we're going to be having tomorrow, Wednesday, 6 p.m., and everything's going to go right, and we're not going to have bad mistakes. I also want to get the stream at 1080p. It kind of looks bad at 720p. Nakobe Dean, second round, 36.
I see the worries of some teams to not take him in the first round and off-ball linebacker. Some teams might have a philosophy, we're not going to take that spot there. But I would take him there. Yeah, absolutely. He runs through dudes' faces.
Yeah.
That guy's going to be a good football player to me. He's not there is a lot of help playing behind that Georgia D line, but what he does to me is not just playing behind that good defensive line. It definitely helps, and that does worry you. A guy I got wrong a couple years ago in the draft, Patrick Queen. I liked Patrick Queen a lot, and he hasn't been good. So linebackers sometimes can be more of a production of scheme and the guys that play in front of them. But the way Nakobe just runs through a dude's face, I don't see how you couldn't, think about, taking him at 36. Do we know how to ban chats and this?
Yeah, I just did it. Leo Chanel, it's too. I'm now having a feeling that it's too early to take Leo Chanel at 36.
Yeah, I do too. Because the more players we've watched, you think 36. He shows up in the third round whenever I we'll do a little quick run through of those mock draft
which
things.
I think that's likely.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens with him. So, all right, let's get some more questions. If you spam these YouTube chats, kill yourself. Sorry, it's so frustrating. Tomorrow we'll have someone that's banning chats.
And it's hopefully. It's been happening a lot.
I don't want Jalen Petrie in the second.
No.
I'm not as big. Jalen Petrie was a nice guy. I actually hit him in the midseason mock draft when he was looked as a late second, early third. Now that he's getting first round, high second round buzz, to me, he plays a Jalen or Jabril Peppers role, but not as good as Jabril Peppers.
I want to watch Petrie tonight because we didn't talk about him during our preview pod. So how there was talk of him being hey, you can be this hybrid corner and safety. So how different is he from Dexter Hill?
I mean, Daxton Hill is good in coverage. Jalen Petre's not.
Oh, okay.
Jalen Petre's more of like a money backer, where Daxton Hill's like a do-it-all safety. Like Daxton Hill is versatile that you can line him up in the nickel and have him just flat out play corner. Jalen Petre's versatile is like you can line him up at linebacker and he can blitz and hit gaps hard.
He's not. He's not even that big, right?
No.
Yeah.
So I worry about Jalen Petre a little bit. I like him. But no, I wouldn't take Jalen Petre at 36. And the Giants have brought in safeties for their top 30 visits. Petre hasn't been one of them.
No, yeah, I think he has.
I don't think he was. We'll see. Thoughts on Velus Jones Jr. out of Tennessee, Frank? He's a guy I like, but he's old. Like, he's going to be 25 when the season, either 24 or 25 when the season starts. But he's a fun watch. Like, he's a really interesting wide receiver. I like him a good amount. If day 3, we'll be having conversations about Velus. I wouldn't take Jahan Dotson at 36. He struggles a lot for his press, and he's just not the wide receiver I'm going to be taking at 36. Although he does remind me of Sterling Shepard quite a bit. Let's see.
No, I think you're maybe right that the Giants did not meet with Petre.
He's a natural. Yeah, I like Jalen Petre. I just don't like him at 36.
Petre.
Let's see.
Peachtree. Talking safeties, how do you guys feel about Kirby Joseph and or Smoke Monday? Now, those are names.
I literally have Kirby Joseph's film downloaded, so he's going to be watched.
Smoke Monday.
Smoke Monday is from Auburn. I haven't watched. Again, this is what kind of sucks about the draft, is we've done so much work, and people ask us questions about a player, and I'll just say I don't know. But my promise to you guys is to never talk about a guy that I haven't watched. But if the Giants draft him, we'll do the best job covering those guys once they're drafted.
That is a name.
We went heavy top 100 this year because the Giants have 5 top 100 picks and they have so many needs.
Yeah.
So we went very top 100 heavy in our draft prep, where in past years there'd be like, we hit 30 guys. You know, like I have 30 reports on guys who didn't even get drafted. We're not going to have as much as much day 3 stuff done. So, but I did see a mock draft yesterday by someone, and all 9 guys I had evaluations on. So I was like, that's my goal. If that happens, like God is good. I mean, God's always good, but if that happens, that's a real blessing.
Amen to that.
Any thoughts on Zach Tom, Anson Wynn? I like Zach Tom. If Friday night ends and Zach Tom is available, that's like top of my list when I'm putting together my big board for the start round 4. Zach Tom. He played tackle at Wake Forest. He played very good versus Jermaine Johnson. Now, he played center his freshman year, and he's probably going to move back inside, but I really like Zach Tom. I think he's a day 2 guy. He's projected to go in day 3, which means that he probably will go on day 2 because there's going to be a team that thinks like me. But, yeah, Zach Tom is I don't think he's even a sleeper anymore because a lot of people know about him. I watched him. We didn't talk about him on any of our draft previews because he is a tweener between tackle and inside. But I really, really like Zach Tom.
Just the guy with the 2 first names.
Zach Tom. That is a great name. Tom Zach.
I don't know if it's a great name, though. I think it's a tough name.
It's very short. I like it.
Zach Tom?
So
2 syllables?
Julian Bright's in the chat. We'll see you on Thursday.
Hate
here.
him.
I'm looking forward to him to be down here. I need to bond with a bond with a fellow Floridian.
I would take BBD at 36.
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't take him in the 7th round. That's scumbag.
Julian spelled Ron Dane's name wrong. Sent me a graphic.
I saw that. What?
Sent me a graphic, and honestly, like I had to take a selfie video and send it to him. Be like, "Are you joking?" Like it's arguably a fireable offense.
Someone said Zach Tom or Darian Kennard. I'm going to pull up my rankings of interior offensive line real quick.
Darian Kennard's a fun one.
Darian Kennard's frustrating.
I kind of like him.
He's frustrating because
Hone him in.
He's got so much work to do. So right now I have Darian Kennard ranked as my 6th interior offensive line and Zach Tom as my 7th. I'll go through my top 10. You know what? I need to start tweeting these out. My top 10 for interior offensive line: Kenyon Green, Zion Johnson, Tyler Linderbaum, Dylan Parham, Cole Strange, Darian Kennard, Zach Tom, Lasita Smith, Sean Ryan, Jamari Salyer. That's my top 10. Ed Ingram 11, Kaden Mays 12.
Yeah, tweet out your top 10. People love lists.
The thing is they're not always complete because there might be a guy that I'd have top 10 that I haven't watched. But
People love lists, though. It doesn't matter what the list is. People love lists.
That's fair. So, but interior offensive line, I'm ready for that. There's even like guys I have like Cam Jurgens is at 14. He's a fun player. I'm actually not a big Luke Fortner guy. I have him ranked 18th.
I'm sorry if we've missed super chats, but I kind of like this.
We're not using StreamYard, so it's hard for us to hit all these super chats.
What is your first round? Don't get mad at us. If you get mad at us because we're not reading super chats, then we're not going to read your super chat because you're being an asshole. What is your first round worst case scenario you can realistically see happening? Worst case scenario first round.
I mean, they just draft two.
They just draft two players that aren't good.
Yeah, two busts. Mine would be Cross. Mine would be Cross if Neal or Icky's there.
Yeah.
And then I'm trying to think. Who else would there be that you'd be mad at besides
Jordan Davis? They see him as a top 10 player.
Yeah.
They see it.
I could see like Joe Shane being like, I don't care what Dave Gettleman did. I like this defensive tackle.
Yeah.
I'm not the one who drafted all these defensive tackles. I want this one.
I would feel very like, yeah, we got to go back and we got to watch Derek Stingley 2019. I get it. I made the joke to Bobby, and I'll say it on a live stream. It was literally Derek Stingley played his best football before a global pandemic. And that was a long time ago. It was a very long time ago.
Yeah.
And I would feel very uneasy, again, with the GM that I would hope is about saying smart, tough, dependable. Derek Stingley making him one of your first two picks that you're making as general manager and adding him to the mix. That's not smart, tough, dependable. And then basically similar to Dave Gettleman, you're taking out anything that you say, I kind of can't believe you. Like, I want to have it, and we debate about this.
Yeah, constantly. But I don't care about that.
I know you don't care, but we debate about this constantly. I want a GM that's about it. Like, be about it. You know, if you're gonna say something to me, and you're gonna say this is what I believe, this is what I'm about, be about it. Like, because Dave Gettleman would say shit, and then he was not about it. Which I get. It's all just GM speak, but let's change that a little bit. Yeah,
but my counterpoint to that always is like, what do you look like? Maybe I don't really care if he had an injury concern. I don't care if they're dumb. Let me get him in.
That's different. We're not just talking about Evan Neal has a little question on his physical, which is not true. We're not just talking about Kenyon Green having a little bit of a knee problem. We're talking about this guy has missed football games the last 2020, 2021, the last 2 years, substantial amount of time.
Yeah, that's fair. And again, I'm not advocating for Derek Stingley either. All right.
Kyle Hamilton would also be another, what are we doing?
People are going to say that Kyle Hamilton is not going to the top because he's a safety. I think he's not going to go at the top because he was a little bit overrated of a player.
Sure. I can see it.
Let's see. Did we pick up the option on Dexter Lawrence? I actually, after seeing all the D-line contracts, I kind of think maybe you do. Although I will say they asked him at his presser the other day, did you see what he said? They're like, you look like you added some weight. He's like, yeah, I'm just not in great shape right now.
The fact that
he's the happiest guy in the world, but he just was like, because he's giggly, no one noticed that. He just said I'm just not maybe in the best shape right now.
Put it up there with him and Nate Solder saying that you're out of shape. Now, Nate Solder was getting paid out of the way, and I guess he didn't care. But Dexter Lawrence, dude, you're like, you have the opportunity. Maybe he wants
He could be in a contract year.
Maybe he wants the option to be declined so he gets more money because he knows that he's going to get more money if the option's declined versus if they pick it up. Maybe he's playing chess, not checkers.
But I was just like, I can't believe. And Dexter Lawrence's personality is like it's infectious. The way he's just so happy-go-lucky all the time. But it's like, did he just say that? Like, he's out of shape right now. He
did.
And they asked him. You could tell. Anyways, I like Dex. If we get Neal at 5 and Sauce at 7, will you guys thank Davey G?
Yes.
If you go back and watch our reaction to the trade, we liked the trade. I still like the trade.
I think that trade has the potential to be the best thing that Dave Gettleman ever did, and it has the potential to set us up for future success if we do good with it.
Getting a lot of comments about the hoodie.
Sure.
You can get it. Go to Talkin' Giant. Just Google Talkin' Giants merch, and it'll show up. Let me show off the back for the people. Which I was walking around Manhattan and I forgot that I was wearing it. And I was like, oh, I'm wearing a big hoodie that says, can the camera see it?
you got it. Culture of violence.
Culture of violence. Oh, this is metal.
Yeah, it used to be the old. They used to be on the wall, the John Boy Media wall.
Oh, sure.
But then we changed presenting sponsors.
It's your Senior Bowl.
Yeah, I decorated the whole thing. Yeah.
Can I break this?
No.
Can I break a beer bottle during the draft stream?
A beer bottle?
Yeah, like I'll just smash it against the wall.
Yeah, I mean,
we'll clean it up. We'll make sure to clean it up.
Sure. Cheers.
Let's see.
I miss Dave Gettleman.
You do miss Dave Gettleman, not the GM, but the personality.
It's a shame he was bad at his job.
I just lost my train of thought.
I did
a conversation. Here's something. Do you, when there's a draft trade, are you of the mindset of like we have to wait 3 years to see who won this, or are you of the mindset like no, it's two separate entities, the trade and then who you draft? Because there's some who say like, hey, you got to keep in mind like it depends who you pick with them, but there are also people who are like, hey, if you get a good deal selling your house and you go spend that all on crack, it was still a good deal selling your house, but you were stupid to buy crack.
I do think that was great.
Hell of an analogy.
So I do think evaluating the 2020 draft day trade or trades, I do think evaluating that is going to come down to what the Giants do this year.
People forget that one of those, we had an extra 5th-round pick. We used that to trade it for Aaron Robinson.
Yeah.
People forget about that because we had, the first-round pick this year and then the extra 4th-rounder. People forget that we used that. And we have an extra 3rd. Like, that was Joe Judge influence.
Yeah,
like,
no, it was.
Yeah.
Dave Gettleman literally never did it, and he was working.
You see, you even saw Dave Gettleman. Remember Dave Gettleman was shaking his head at the after the Aziz pick because he looked like there was someone that he wanted more than Aziz who went off the board or something.
Do you remember when Urban Meyer said that he really wanted Kadarius Toney?
Yeah, someone had a good tweet,
and Giants fans celebrated that.
Someone had a good tweet. It's like,
yes,
when the Kadarius Toney trade stuff was as high at its highest was like it's like you must be a hell of a player when Dave Gettleman and Urban Meyer are publicly battling for you.
Yeah.
And Dave Gettleman went on Good Morning Football or NFL Network like 2 days after the draft and said he would have taken Jamin Davis, where it's like, good Lord. Like, I don't care how many issues Toney has. I'm glad we didn't take Jamin Davis.
Yes. But I do think that evaluating the trade is going to come down to what do the Giants do this year. Because it's not just the Giants passed on Joe Schmo player. It was, hey, people are going to be really mad seeing Micah Parsons do really well for Dallas, and they're going to be really mad watching Justin Herbert, Dave Gettleman's darling, do well with Rashawn Slater as left tackle.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I remember saying at our fan fest, someone asked us, like, would you rather I was like, man, part of me just wants Rashawn Slater right now.
But also, you have to think about it like this, too. Rashawn Slater is a left tackle for the Los Angeles Chargers, and that is way more valuable than right tackle. Like, way, way, way more valuable. It is, especially if you're a right-handed quarterback, blind side. So Rashawn Slater, he does not have, Trish, you could say Tristan Wirfs too, but he does not have the same allure, I don't think, if he's not a left tackle.
But we also have a higher pick than the pick that we got, and we're probably going to use that on a right tackle.
Well, we have 2. That's the beauty of having those 2 first-round picks is that one of those players can be right tackle is extremely valuable, and that's not a bad use of resources.
And it depends on Toney, because Toney when he's healthy, he's a good football player.
Yeah,
and he has the ability to be a great one.
If we had only 1 first-round pick, I would be debating whether I want to go tackle or edge. Like that would be a debate. And
then we'd have a tackle.
And I'm talking about right tackle.
We would have Rashawn Slater.
I'm talking about this year.
Oh.
This year, if there was just one, and let's just say Micah Parsons last year. If the Giants only had 1 draft pick this year in the first round, and we took a defensive player last year, or we took Toney, whatever. If we only had 1, I would be debating, do we go edge or do we go tackle? And I probably would lean edge because edge is more valuable than right tackle. Edge 1 is more valuable than right tackle. And I think I think you can agree with that.
Yeah, but the Giants are so weak at right tackle, and BPA meets need this year. All right, what time? How long have we been going? We've been going for 48 minutes, so we'll go a little longer. We'll go to 7.
Yeah, I mean, hey, let's just say we got like 400 plus people in here right now.
Yeah, people are excited for the draft.
Tomorrow.
And that was even with the wrong link.
Yeah, and this is with the wrong link. This is with we're not looking the best right now. I hope that we sound all right. Tomorrow it's going to be better. Tomorrow it's going to be better. Again, we're going to be tomorrow 6 p.m. So like same time that we went live tonight. We're going to be doing a mock draft, which we're going to have our mock draft. People like mock drafts. So tune in tomorrow.
I don't like doing the mock draft videos. I like doing the draft day mock draft. That's my favorite.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. What do we got? Preference on tight end type. Would you rather find a guy who has some blocking ability with what is current? Yeah, I do. One, they have 2 tight ends on the roster who can't block in Akins and Ricky Seals-Jones. And in general, I don't need my tight end to be the greatest mismatch ever. I need him to be able to block and be a decent route, and at least a decent route runner.
Yeah.
Kaden Smith. You know, I would have if you would have told me who would you rather start the last 2 years, Kaden Smith or Evan Ingram, I would take Kaden Smith. And it's not simply about drops. It's the fact that Evan Ingram's not a good route runner. He doesn't have good football IQ.
Doesn't block.
Yeah, it doesn't like it's about that more. And then the drops obviously are a big part of that too. Even though he didn't have a lot of drops in this past season. Let's see.
We're not going to a Yankee game. We're not going to the Yankee game.
No, Justin said no. We're not going to the Yankee.
We're not.
He said you're not ever going to go to a Yankee game, Bobby. Ruined a childhood dream of mine.
We are going to Charlotte. Somebody asked about that.
We are going to Charlotte. You better be in freaking Charlotte, North Carolina, May 27th.
Memorial Day weekend.
Memorial Day weekend, baby. All right. Ellison Smith should be a star. I agree, Landon, but he was not going to be. But I would love him to. He should be. I think
everybody should be a star.
Everyone should be a star.
Don't you know? Don't you know? Who's that by? Who's that?
Someone said you sound fine, Justin, but you always look like one of those Army officers assigned to guard Bruce Banner.
Well, I would probably die because Bruce Banner turns to the Hulk.
Oh, okay. I was googling who Bruce Banner is.
Bruce Banner is the Incredible Hulk.
Got it. I don't need
Who
to
sings
Google
that song?
I didn't hear the song.
Don't you know that you are a shooting star?
I don't know.
Bad Company.
Nets
suck.
They do. Thoughts on other running backs other than James Cook in the draft?
Have no thoughts on any other running backs in the draft.
Ty Chandler, UNC. He's my guy this year. He's my every year. Every running back is a spot that every single year you find a round 3 to 7 guy or round 4 to 7 guy, and like that's my guy. My guy this year is Ty Chandler out of UNC. I think he's a freaking beast. Someone mentioned Chig. We talked about him in our tight end preview out of Maryland. I think he would be a great day 3 draft pick.
I think the Giants met with him.
Yeah, they like him, and they've talked about wanting an H-back, and they don't have an H-back right now. I would love to draft Chig. He's a fun player, and you can use him in a bunch of different ways out of Maryland. Go check his stuff out. Someone mentioned Jake Ferguson. Yes, he's not as dynamic as Chig, but I think he's more dynamic. He can line up and just play wide tight end. Where Chig, I don't know if you can do that. At least not down in, down out. Let's see.
I've seen this twice. This does look pretty familiar to the Talkin' Yanks studio. It's because if you look in the right-hand corner of this stream, it says John Boy Media, and those two things, Talkin' Yanks, John Boy Media, they go together, and we are ultimately part of that company.
Can we move these cameras to go do like an office tour?
No, we cannot.
Can we try?
No. You can film an office.
This lighting makes me look more. I was kind of worried because I haven't gotten much sun lately. That I was gonna look kind of pale on camera.
I love that.
It even makes you not look like a ghost.
I love, but tech guy Dan, who I love, he's like one of my best friends, and he just started. He made like this whole light, and it makes it feel a little more homey instead of like I'm in a studio and I'm like under pressure with all the lights. Homey vibes with the lighting.
Yeah, I'm feeling. Someone said Rashad White out of Arizona State. I like him. All right, we're gonna close up.
Appreciate all you.
Can you ban Cape Crusader?
Yeah, he's been saying not nice things about me.
Can you just ban him? Is there any way to just ban him? And
Yeah, I think I just did. So
you delete the message. I want to know if we could just ban him.
yeah, well, whatever. He'll be back.
Bobby,
And,
how much money have you gambled so far? None.
Shame. Yankee game's starting in a few minutes, supposedly. Is it raining outside? Don't know.
I don't think it's going to rain for the Yankee game.
Yeah,
Whenever
of course,
it says
we're not
40,
there.
50%.
Of course, and we're not there.
Let's see.
If the Giants go linebacker day 2, who would you like them to take? Leo Chanel, Nakobe Dean. Why did I just blank?
Quay Walker.
Channing Tindall. I really like him.
Channing Tindall's another one. Let me pull up my linebacker big board.
Troy Anderson's fun, but is he a good football player?
He's another guy I have to watch tomorrow. He's on like my must watch.
I will be banging the table for Troy Anderson to get offensive plays. Giants should have done that with Jabril Peppers. I don't care what anybody says. We were so bad, Jabril Peppers should have gotten offensive plays. Should have. What were we doing?
Christian Harris could be a date. Chad Muma. If you want to go
Chad
money,
Muma.
like kind of more of like a hybrid linebacker, Brian Asamoah out of Oklahoma.
Did meet with him. Giants did meet with him.
Day 3, Malcolm Rodriguez. JoJo Doman is an interesting one because he's
Malcolm Rodriguez. Yes.
like an athlete who hasn't played traditional stack linebacker. He played that split out linebacker that Baron Browning played for Ohio State last year. So yeah. All right, let's end this damn thing. We appreciate you guys. So tomorrow. So first we're gonna be streaming the entire draft. I think starting at 6:45 on Thursday.
7:15.
We want to be going a good amount before the draft.
8 starts at 8. 7:15. I can't guarantee people. It's not because I don't want to. It's just people around us.
Tomorrow we're doing our first ever live podcast.
Yeah.
It's our annual draft day, even though it's not coming out on draft day. It comes out the night before the draft. Our draft day plus our final mock drafts podcast. It's literally my favorite podcast of the year. It really is. So I'm very excited for that. It hasn't hit me yet that it's here, but you know what? Once I pull out that draft coconut, I think it will really hit me. So we appreciate you guys. We will see you tomorrow at 6 o'clock sharp. 6 o'clock sharp, and we're gonna have all the audio and all the shit right. How about that? All right, we appreciate you guys. We'll see you tomorrow at 6. Enjoy this draft process.